When she received my PSLE results, right, she would actually squat in the toilet and cry.
Wow.
I kind of have that mentality that I need to do well to prevent my mum from experiencing this kind of emotional disappointment again. When you people please too much, right, you don't have your own say in things and it becomes yes man, that kind of follower attitude. I think the people I mix with, a lot are teachers' pet also. More than one pet.
So your CCA is the teacher's pet club.
Yeah lah, can say that lah.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to Youth Tea Party, the show where we spill the tea on all things youth. We are not a political party and have no interest in running for office. Today, Guan Yu, I want to talk about something that is very important and relevant to Singaporean youth, I think. The concept of being guai. Broadly, guai is a Chinese word, right? And it translates to maybe obedient, compliant, and it has maybe good connotations to it. But at the same time, people also ascribe some negative connotations to it, right? Like, sometimes people make fun of people for being guai.
Yep.
And I think more importantly as well, what are the ramifications of being too guai or being too obedient, too compliant? Do people lose themselves? I think these are some of the things that are really interesting. I want to talk to you about these things today. But first, I want to direct our attention to this Reddit post, right? Wow, I found this Reddit post online. It's really quite interesting. It's written by a parent. So that's even more interesting, right? And this person is called New for 2015. So shout out to New for 2015 for this really interesting post.
Yes.
It's titled A Rant on the Chinese Word Guai. So I want to do a bit of an oral exam with you.
Okay.
Let's take turns to read the paragraph. Test our reading skills, right? I'm going to start first and then you can continue.
Sure.
Okay? There is a word in Chinese, guai. Maybe other Asian languages have similar words, but I've yet to find an exact English translation. The closest translation of that word in English would be well behaved, but this translation doesn't convey the complex meaning of the word.
While growing up, all the elders would use the word guai to compliment the kids. That is like the ultimate compliment a child can get. If you behave like they are supposed to, everyone around you is happy. Oftentimes, you did get a pleasant reward, be it a delicious snack or a toy or even a rare hug. I used to be a child who strives to receive such a compliment.
But what does it really mean? As I got older and becoming a parent myself, I started to consider what makes a child well-behaved. When do I dole out that compliment?
I started considering the times when I was given that compliment. I began to realize something. This word implies that someone doesn't cause any trouble. Docile, obedient, pliant.
At the extreme, the child has been mentally broken and molded such that they can no longer make decisions on their own, and that they will now listen, follow, and obey instructions fed to them without question or hesitation. There is no originality in thinking. There is no individuality in action. What is right and what is wrong is completely dictated by information passed down onto that child.
The cynic in me could say that a well-behaved child relieves the parents from actual parenting at the cost is that the child loses their creativity, imagination, playfulness, and basic enjoyment of being young and free.
I would think that at some point, an adult who is still considered well-behaved as an adult is actually quite broken as a person. A successful person is not going to be someone who continues to seek their elders' approval, even into their adulthood. That is quite a post.
Mouthful.
But one that I think resonates with many people today. It's slightly dramatic, but very real as well, I think.
Yes.
I want to ask you straight away, right? Do you agree with this interpretation of guai as this person has written?
I feel I kind of agree to a very large extent. That is something that is typical of, or the formula to being guai. So the idea that you follow a certain preset path, you kind of have a certain so-called unspoken rules and regulations that your parents actually put on you, and you just act upon it. And by that, you are actually reflecting how they kind of have that expectations being fulfilled. Yeah, and that's the meaning of being quiet.
So you mentioned parents, right? I think parents is quite interesting, and I think this post is interesting because a parent wrote it, right? So someone in the comments said that, wow, thank you for writing this, like 1.5 generation parent, that kind of thing, right? Like woke parents that are more woke.
Correct.
I want to talk a little bit about your relationship with your parents.
Yeah.
In general, when growing up, did you ever feel like, your parents had a lot of expectations of you being quiet, or what was the relationship like?
I kind of have a more antagonistic relationship with my dad.
Okay.
Yeah, so my dad is that kind who is quite hands-off and doesn't really bother much about how I grew up from childhood. But more of the responsibility actually lies on my mom's shoulders. So I think she's a working class parent, and I still remember that time when I didn't do well for my PSLE. And I think few years later, she told me how when she received my PSLE results, right, she would actually squat in the toilet and cry.
Wow.
Because she's at a loss, and I'm her first child and the only child. So what should I do with such a lousy PSLE grades, right? Where can I bring my child to? So I think it's that kind of emotional burden and impact that was quite lasting. That's why it kind of dragged throughout my secondary school, through my tertiary education life. Yeah.
Well, that sounds like quite a burden on you as well, right? I mean, so when you were a child, did you feel that? I mean, it's clear that your mom places a lot of emphasis on your academic success. I guess a lot of parents believe that academic success would translate into success in life, right? I mean, that is debatable in itself, but your parents believe it, and I think that shows. But at that age, right, did you feel that, or did you just feel like, my parents are just nagging again, or were you in a way enlightened enough to see that or feel that?
I kind of have that mentality that I need to do well to prevent my mom from experiencing this kind of emotional disappointment again. Yeah. So I think that sense of avoiding to repeat this mistake of not doing well kind of carried on throughout my journey in life.
Okay. Yeah. But what you say you didn't do well, so then when you ended up in secondary school, where did you go? Was it a decent secondary school? Like, how was it like?
Yeah, I went to Ngee Ann Sec.
Okay.
It's decent, but in a sense, I just pushed myself through. Pushed myself through secondary school, trying to always seek for the best, being the best in class, being all these things, number one and whatever not. But it came with the mentality that I do not want to disappoint my mom. Yeah.
But this is really interesting, right? So I guess this is really cuts down to what people call kwai in the sense, right? Like obedient, compliant. I guess yours is a little bit more nuanced in that you saw your mom being hurt and you were empathetic and also mature enough at that age to say, I want to do well for my mom.
Yeah.
And I think there's nothing wrong with that. But did you ever want to do well for yourself also? Or do you really think that it was just like for an external validation kind of thing?
I think as I grew, it changed. The proportion of me doing for my mom or for the sake of other people versus myself has shifted. Yeah. So as I grew older, less is more on for the sake of others, but for the sake of myself, because I feel that only when I assume the responsibility, when I made the choice, it is my responsibility to do it well. Yeah. So I think the ownership lies in me per se, rather than others.
But at what point did you get that? Because this is something, right? Honestly, for many, when you were in secondary school, you were still really young, right? You were in your early teens.
Yeah.
This is something that doesn't come readily to people, So at what point did you come up with that realization? Or was it something that was built up over time? Can you reflect on that a little bit?
I see it as that person that you are working for will not necessarily be with you forever. And it will be quite tiring to keep fulfilling the expectations of that person, right? And it need not necessarily be what the person is actually thinking about, right? So sometimes it's the stories and the imaginations that you put in your head that this person is expecting this and you are trying to fulfill it. Yeah. So at that point in time, I feel more has to be done on myself and what kind of things, what kind of expectations that I put on myself that I seek to fulfill.
So clearly you probably did a lot better for your O levels lah, and then you got into a good junior college. How was your mom reaction like?
I would say relief.
Relief?
Yeah, relief.
Singapore really very sad.
Yeah, relief. Not happy, but relief. Relief.
That's
So at least he made it somewhere. I think it's like, at least, he's on track. He's not out of the normal path.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. What relief. Okay.
Yeah.
How about yourself? Were you happy? Were you relieved? Or
I was happy. I was relieved.
okay.
Yeah, but at that point in time, it's still, you still don't know where you are going to go lah. But it's just that, at least I'm on track.
Okay.
Yeah.
So would you say that you were really, in your secondary school years, earlier years, you were very driven by grades?
Yes,
Okay.
definitely.
Yeah, but in a way, it's not for like some personal self-achievement, but also for your mom lah.
Yeah, correct.
Where does your dad fit into this picture, if you don't mind sharing a little bit?
He will just celebrate my different milestones in life,
Okay.
but not really putting in I wouldn't say having a hand into the way I grew up. Yeah, so more caring about his own business, his own things, but less of watching me and advising me as from childhood as I grew up. So I think it's a little bit of a missed opportunity here. Yeah, but I think every family is different, right? Yeah.
I'm sure. In terms of validation, right? We read an article just now. There was a lot about validation.
Yeah.
How do your parents validate you? How does your mom validate you? Does she explicitly use the word 乖, for example? Right? When she talks to others, 我的儿子很乖, that kind of thing. Does she do that, or what is the style of validation like?
I think compliment, not in the sense like 我的儿子很乖, but maybe in terms of how at least he's on the right track. At least I think that he's independent. He knows what is he doing.
But does she communicate this explicitly to you?
Yes, she does. She said I grew.
That's
I
good.
grew up. Yeah. But sometimes I question also, what do you mean by I grew up? Correct.
So you made it. You made it to university. You're doing really well in university, and you are on the verge of graduation, right? How do you feel?
I miss my undergraduate days.
Haven't finished yet.
Haven't finished yet.
I think as of now, you still have like 1 week left or something.
Correct. Yeah.
So you're already starting to miss it.
Yeah.
Why do you think you miss it?
I don't think, because you don't assume full responsibility.
Yeah.
And you don't have to take the burden of what is lying ahead of you, And I feel a lot of so-called mature adults things, like handling your finances and all these things hasn't really hit hard in my life yet. So I think it is still in that process of exploring, having fun, and just being, this so-called free kid that can still run around, exploring life. Yeah. So I hasn't get into the system of responsibilities. Yeah.
But what makes you think that once you go out into the real world, so to speak, or the working world, you cannot be wild and free?
I feel there is a kind of expectation that has been put on others again, the same thing. Yeah, but now it's not the case of your parents, but now it's the case of your employers or people who you have to work with.
Yeah.
So there is a kind of reputation that you have to keep. There is a kind of persona that you have to put out there, and being that true authentic self that you are may not necessarily fit well, in a sense, in the working world, I feel. Yeah. So
So in university, you think that that's more allowable, so to speak?
Yeah, in that sense.
But I've done some research, right, on you. I did a bit of CSI on you.
Okay.
And your reputation in university are very good, no?
Really?
Yeah, a lot of people will say things like, you are very positive.
Okay.
You are very you're high achiever, etc.
Okay.
Let's do a bit of self-reflection. I know it's a bit uncomfortable to talk about yourself, but
yes.
what do you think are the general, thoughts on you as a student in university now?
I feel I am more daring. In a sense.
Okay, but I'm not asking about you. I'm asking about what your classmates,
what your classmates think.
Professors, your teachers think of you.
Yeah. So meticulous, hardworking, always study, never play one. That kind of things.
So like really the guai.
Really follow the guai.
Compliant,
yes.
Follow the prescribed path to doing well. Why do you think these expectations come of you? Do you think they are true or not?
Partially true.
Okay.
In a sense, based on observation, but they do not actually live with me or stay with me the whole day. So I think at that moment in time, whatever period of time that you have with the person, the person will size you up in that way. So I think that brief moment has captured the sort of guai personality that they feel is that case.
But I want to ask a very direct question, right? So does being guai translate to good grades? What do you think? I mean, you are someone with good grades, you are someone who people think is guai, but this could be correlation, not causation, right? But I want to ask you straight, do you think there is a link?
I feel there is.
Okay, why?
Okay, so it links to ego.
Ego? Oh, that's really interesting. Tell us more.
Correct, because it's something how, for example, if people say, right? You get somewhat influenced or affected to be that way.
You want to live up to it.
So you want to live up to that way. So the ego is there, right? So you want to maintain it. You want to make sure that it's there. And somehow it will transcend into you. It will translate into you putting this idea into practice. So the practice is more hardworking, read more things, do more things. Yeah. So in that sense, it leads on to grades, I feel.
Oh, damn it. I wish that when I was a university student, people say I can't. Then at least I can get better grades.
I feel maybe that way, because sometimes you don't know when one particular criticism or one particular compliment, right, can change your whole life.
True.
Yeah.
Wait, so then you are telling me that in your 4 years at university, right, you've never received criticism? Not from classmates, from friends, from professors, whatever. Have you received any criticism?
I do. I do.
Tell me what you are criticized on.
I think I'm criticized. Okay, I wouldn't say criticized as in badly scolded for what, but
room for improvement.
Room for improvement. I feel being more confident. Yeah.
Okay.
Correct. So occasionally I might appear less confident. Yeah. So I think that idea of being out there, being confident to others is something that people have said about me.
But what does that mean? As in, can you give me an example of what it means that you are not confident? Right? Okay, so you obviously are doing well grades-wise and everything. People have a good impression of you. Then where does this lack of confidence still come from? Like, how does it translate and manifest?
I think it manifests in the form of group work sometimes. Depends on group work sometimes. So one of my identity is also people pleasing, I realize. Yeah, so
it's like trying to live up to other people's expectations.
Trying to live up to other people's expectations. So in that sense, when you people please too much, right, it becomes you don't have your own say in things, and it becomes you just yes man, that kind of follower attitude, to others. But
if let's say people have a very strong impression of your academic abilities, for example, right? Then if you do group work, right, won't people listen to you? Why do you need to still please them?
They do, but it really depends on persona, I feel. Because if in a group, right, for example, if there are many leaders in the group, you feel that there are many leaders, right, I'd rather be a follower.
Okay.
But if there's no leaders, right, then you step up in that sense. So it really depends on the dynamic of the group when it comes to things.
But don't you think that being a good follower, right, is also something that's very important?
Yes, it's an art, I feel. It's very important. Yeah, because being a good follower still requires that sense of critical thinking, and you still have to not just comply to what the leader says, but also point out maybe some of the gaps or weaknesses that they might have.
Okay, so other than this confidence thing, right? What else? What else have you heard negatively said about you?
Negatively said.
Don't have, right?
That's about it. Or maybe what I can think of now lah. Okay.
That's very rare, because normally people will have things to say about each other. No matter how good you are, have things to say about each other. Right? That's really quite interesting. So this idea of guai, right? Do you hear this term explicitly in university also, or you think not really, don't really use this term? It's just the concept and the idea of it.
The concept and the idea.
Okay, but do people scorn upon you for being too comply? Sometimes people will say teachers bad lah.
Yeah.
Do you ever get that? Okay, maybe not university, but maybe when you were younger lah. Did you ever get that kind of stuff?
No, not really.
Why do you think?
Because I think the people I mix with, a lot are teachers pet also. More than one pet.
So your CCA is a teachers pet club lah.
Yeah lah, can say that lah. But hard to outbeat them lah. All are pets lah. So who is the better pet? Hard to say.
Interesting. So you think this is especially when you're younger, you think that this was something that you subconsciously gravitated to, or like?
Yes. Because I feel the case where you are the average out of the five is quite real, it's quite true. Because you will always have the tendency of leaning towards people of your own personality. But when I grew up, I feel, actually this group of people don't really kind of have quite gum with me in that sense. Because they are still trapped in that zone.
Yeah.
But they haven't moved. They haven't tried to even move out of it. Yeah.
So speaking about moving out of that zone, right? In the Reddit post, the person was saying that, being too guai, right, has its problems, right?
Yes.
And one of the problems that this person was saying is that, you just have no originality, you have no mind of your own, you have no confidence, you have no this, no that. I'm just wondering, right, if any of these things have manifested in you, like, do you feel like there are some drawbacks to up to this point in your life now, other than a bit of like confidence issue, right? Because those are what people say of you. But now looking inside yourself, do you feel like there's anything you're struggling with as a result of this so-called guai reputation?
I feel I'm struggling with having not enough exposure or experiences that are out of the norm. Yeah. So because being guai, tendency is you will gravitate towards a certain stream of experiences, but it wouldn't help you to find yourself or uncover a particular aspect of yourself that, maybe is something that I am so good at, but this experience is not something that you can get in the book of guai. Yeah. So I think limiting myself to experiences is something that will disadvantage me, I feel.
Speaking of experiences, right? Our producers ask you to produce or prepare like a 2 truth 1 lie kind of thing, right? Yeah. So my job is to guess which is the truth, which is the lie.
Okay.
I mean, since we're talking about you and your internal self now, right?
Yes.
Maybe you can do that. So you tell us the 3 things that you've done before, and I'll try to guess which is truth and which is lie.
Okay. Yeah. So I met with a severe accident.
Okay. Tell me more about
a motorbike accident.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tell me about the accident. Where did it happen?
So it was in Vietnam, in this city called Ha Giang.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's a 1 week kind of ride and stop kind of journey. Yeah. So during that time, I was actually going up a very steep slope. Yeah. And in the kind of rural areas of Vietnam, it's quite kampong style. So there was a girl, so I think she was about 8 or 9 years old. So she went out of her residence.
Oh, is it not on the bike lah?
No, she was on the bike. She was
riding the bike.
She was riding the bike.
8 years old.
8 to 9 years old. She was riding the bike. Yeah. So looks like 8 to 9 years old. Yeah. Then after that, so I just crashed into her. So
jeez.
Then I think because of the motorbike, what do you call that? The exhaust, it was very hot, right? So I think it scalded her. Scalded her. Yeah.
But what happened after that? Then how?
I can only say sorry. Then the girl just out. then she just went back to her place. I think she went to get aid or what because I couldn't speak Vietnamese.
Yeah.
And the thing is just I couldn't know how to help her lor. So in the end also continue to ride act like nothing happened.
Okay. All right. To the girl, we are very, very sorry.
Yes, correct.
We apologize.
Correct.
But I mean, these kind of things happen, I guess. Hopefully she's okay. Okay, so that was story number 1.
Correct.
Okay, story number 2.
Story number 2, I peed on stage.
You peed on stage?
I peed on stage.
Okay, tell me, what was this event about?
It was my childhood days. Yeah, so I think I was supposed to play a drum. Yeah, I was part of I think it was a Chinese drama group or something lah. Then I was supposed to hit a drum. Then I think I got very nervous. So when I was looking at the audience, wow, so first time I see so many people in my life. Then I just felt something warm below my trousers. Then next thing I know is one puddle of water below.
Wait, this was like how old?
This was about P2.
Oh, okay,
yeah,
okay,
P1,
P2.
P2. Yeah. So
happens lah.
Then before I knew it, I got dragged out of the stage. So I don't know what happened next lah.
But they didn't scold you or what, right?
They didn't scold me.
Oh,
I didn't remember about the scolding part. But I only remember I was super embarrassed.
I mean, understandable lah. But I mean, these kind of things happens to everyone.
Yeah,
to be honest.
correct.
Okay, story number 3.
Okay, story number 3. I went into short-term monkhood.
Short-term monkhood.
Yeah.
Like, how long is this short-term? Or how short is this short-term?
1 month.
Okay.
About 1 month. Yeah. So basically, you have to remove your hair, and the idea of letting go, detachment, and just go into a forest monastery and then stay there, have some sort of inner peace, find that tranquility in yourself. Yeah. So it is more of a spiritual development in that sense.
Okay. So you had an accident in Vietnam. You pee on stage.
Yeah.
And you went to short-term monkhood.
Yeah.
2 truths and 1 lie. Which is the lie? My guess is you did not have an accident in Vietnam?
Oh, I did.
Oh, you did?
I did.
Oh, so you didn't pee on stage?
I did pee on stage.
Oh, you did pee on stage?
I did pee on
Okay,
stage.
so the monkhood.
Oh, wrong.
All wrong, yeah. Oh, that means very good. That means your story is very good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, that means I'm good liar. Okay,
Yeah, you're a very good liar.
Which is not good.
Why not? In life sometimes it's good to be a good liar. You need to protect yourself also.
Yeah. True.
Short-term monkhood. Okay, but I'm very interested in why you came up with the lie of this monkhood, right?
Yes.
Sounds a bit like, for some reason I feel like it would be believable for you, especially from how I've gotten to know you over this podcast, and you're talking about some things, right? I find it quite believable. So does it have any like truth in it, or what is it about?
So yes, there is some truth in a sense. I went for more of like a retreat to go and see how monks actually practice.
Where was this?
That was in Thailand.
Thailand. Okay.
Yeah, so in this province called Ubon Ratchathani. Yeah, so it is a forest monastery. So it's right smack in the forest, and you cannot use, when you go there, you have to give up your phones. So no devices. You just go there, cut off from the world, and just practice just looking into yourself and see the kinds of things that's going on. Yeah, so I would say, in a sense, going back to the idea of guai and pai, right? I think the pai comes in the form of being a daredevil or trying to push yourself out of your your normal boundaries. Doing extreme things, be it extreme spiritual, extreme adventure sports, extreme things that see where your potential actually lies.
Yeah, and in fact, I would really argue that doing something extreme spiritually, right? I think it's harder than doing something extreme physically. So for example, like bungee jump. Sure, it's of course freaking scary, right? But you just jump, that kind of thing. But doing something extreme spiritually, right, it's really hard, because there's this commitment period to it, right? And I think it's really quite challenging. So what do you see there?
In the retreat, I see everyone is just so zen, so calm and collected. So they really focus. I can't see per se, but based on what I can observe is their action. So every step they take is very calculated, is very conscientious. So in a sense, they are really mindful of every single motion that they do. So in that sense, I feel that, hey, we are, when we are always in the city, when we are always in a place where so many distractions, external distractions, internal distractions, right? We are not mindful of our actions. We are not mindful of our speech. So it becomes we are just letting our mind drag us to where we want to go.
A bit like autopilot like that.
Yeah, correct.
But what's wrong with being on autopilot? Just to play devil's advocate.
What's wrong to being on autopilot?
I mean, out of the 7 million plus people in Singapore, whatever, I'm sure at least half of us are on autopilot every day.
Correct,
So
correct,
what's wrong with
correct.
being part of the norm? You're on autopilot.
Not wrong, nothing wrong to be part of the norm of being autopilot, but I feel what is the larger purpose or the meaning behind autopilot, right? So you are living life. Yeah, you might say that you might live life very fulfilling, very meaningful. But do you really find meaning in what you do when you're doing it without mindfulness, whether you're doing it without a particular intention behind? So are you looking at the intention? Are you looking at the ways you do it? So I think that sense of monks practicing that micro thought, that micro action, right? It really sharpens the idea of mindfulness. Yeah.
So this is very interesting, right? Because mindfulness, right? So my question to you is the mindfulness that you seek a means or an end, right? So let's say you go to the monastery right, for like 6 months, for example, right? Is that a means or is that an end, right? What is the bigger goal for you here? Is just being there the end goal, or what is the bigger goal?
No, I think the end goal is not just being there. Be it whether a monk or not a monk, I think what the essence that is captured out is the idea of sharpening mindfulness. So it can be practiced in any setting, be it in a forest or be it in the city. Whatever is the context is, I feel that it is a skill that can be transferred everywhere you go. So I think that is the larger purpose, and that is how you kind of make meaning out of things that you do.
So what is the most adventurous or craziest thing that you've done thus far?
I think in Thailand, I went for my exchange. I did a 2-week motorbike trip. Solo motorbike trip.
Solo
motorbike trip.
So but you didn't go exchange with anyone else in Singapore?
No, I didn't. So it was
interesting. You chose Thailand also. Most people chose like Europe or like US
correct.
Okay. So why Thailand in the first place?
I think that time was during COVID as well. So I wanted somewhere.
COVID can go exchange, man.
It was like the end of COVID or something. So they open up exchanges lah. Then people, so I wanted somewhere near as well in case anything happened back, right? So but also the idea of having, I feel Asia is my home ground, and I wanted to see, what is more, what Asia can offer more. So I felt that it really changed my perspective of what Asia can offer.
So tell us in one sentence how it has changed your perspective.
It has changed my perspective to be more colorful. To be more colorful and less bland. So what I mean by this is, I feel in Singapore we are very bland. In that sense, you don't get to showcase you don't get to use experiences to showcase your hidden side of you, or that side of you that really want to come out. So I feel that part of the identity has to link with a particular experience. So if the experiences doesn't come up in that sense, this particular side of you will not emerge. So being colorful as a person, personality wise, it makes life more meaningful for you.
So like just like going on a solo motorbike trip that kind of thing So what was the most memorable aspect of that trip for you?
The most memorable aspect, I would say, is to be able to connect with locals and to be able to just strike up a conversation with people that you never met in your life, and then understanding that everything is so impermanent, so fleeting, but at the same time, the kinds of connections that you establish with the person is so deep and so is of good quality at that moment in time. So I feel every single part of my trip had that essence in that.
I feel like people in Southeast Asia, a lot of them they're not so instrumental also and a lot of them live more in and for the present. I think Singaporeans, we tend to overcompensate for the future. Everything we're doing is for the future, and we stop living for a while.
True.
What do you think is one thing that Singapore as a context, as a culture, can impart to, say, the rest of Southeast Asia for sake of argument?
I think the quality of being very meticulous.
Oh.
Yeah. The quality of
Are we
being
very meticulous?
In the sense, everything is done law by law. Everything
Oh.
has black and white to it. So there is no grayness in exploring that. So everything is very regimental.
You don't know where to look only lah.
You just don't know where to look only. Maybe just don't know where to look.
Singapore no grayness?
Exactly,
You don't know where to
correct.
look. No, but you're right lah, because Singapore, how to say, Singapore represents it very well, the black and white,
Yes.
the black and whiteness of it. And I guess, yeah lah, it's most people follow the rules, and in general is a decent society lah. Maybe not that colourful, but
Yes.
compliant one.
Compliant, very compliant. But I feel we are too obsessed with the idea of compliance.
I think so leh.
Yes,
Yeah, it goes back to the idea of kwai lor.
correct.
It's like really just like
It's one circle.
pure compliance lor.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
So okay, I want to go back to one circle now, right? Since
Yeah.
we talk about one circle, right? We go back to your parents, because I think it's really quite interesting. Because I guess, like it or not, the experience or encounter that we have with this quietness thing, right, and living up to things, right, it does start with our parents, no matter what, right? So how would you say that your relationship with your mom has changed from, say, primary, secondary school and now? How do you think it has changed?
I feel she has again seen me grow, but I still up to now I don't understand what's the meaning of
Why don't you
growth.
just ask her? Tonight
Maybe
you go
tonight I
ask
should
her, okay?
ask, yeah,
Then you put in the comments. And you tell us what your mother said.
Yeah, so my relationship with her is, I would say, mature over time. Yeah, so she kind of seen me being more independent to make decisions. And sometimes I don't really consult her first. Do first, then say. Do first, then after action review, you go and talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So sometimes,
Seek forgiveness, not permission.
seek forgiveness. Yes, correct.
Okay, then tell me one of the things like recently that you've just like done first, and then whatever then if there's any problem. So what was one of the things that you just made a decision without asking?
So exactly, it's the 2-week solo motorbike trip.
Wait, but that was last time lah.
That was last time.
I'm recently. Like more recently. Now that you are about to graduate, anything recently.
Okay, recently not really,
Okay.
but last time in the sense.
So how did she react when she found out about the 2-week motorbike trip?
She just scolded me, but she just scolded me in the first place. But after that, she said, "Luckily you went first. Otherwise you will be obstructed of this opportunity to do it."
She really said that?
Yeah, because she said that at least you try it, you grew from it, and I don't care. I will just close one eye, 2 eye, don't see you go, until you come back, then you talk about it lah. Yeah, so.
Your mom's as woke as this Reddit person, yeah.
But I will lie through lah. So I'll say, I've been to here with a tour bus to this place. Then after I go here, but actually every single part is I do it myself.
Understand.
Yeah.
Understand. What would you say to a friend or a junior who's going through the same stuff as you, right? They also have this reputation of following within the lines, coloring within the lines. What would you say to them? What would your practical advice to them be?
Try something that you think you will regret not trying.
But what if their parents disagree, for example?
Then find a way just to skirt around it, but do it. Yeah, because if you don't do it right, chances are that first action, right, will actually be the catalyst to lead you on to more things that you're going to do. Or it can be just that you do it already and you feel, no, I want to go back to where am I. But at least try, because if you don't try it right, you just don't know where you will go from there. Yeah,
That's
so
true,
really just do
Actually,
it.
that's damn good life advice lah. And I think to be clear, we're not saying like disobey your parents. We're saying communicate with them lah. Open up a line of communication and let them know that sometimes doing these things are not all that bad. Correct. Or whatever. You're just trying something new, trying something different. I think especially for Singaporeans, right, really trying something different is something that doesn't come to us that naturally.
True.
Yeah. So summary, Guan Yu, are you guai?
Depends.
Okay, depends on what?
Depends on how you see me.
Fair.
And honestly, I don't really care how you see me and for now. So really it's about you. It's about, I have to thank those who say that I'm guai, but really it's about having to see me from another lens or see me from another perspective.
Yeah, I mean, how you see you is important lah, but also I think more importantly, how you see yourself is very important.
How you see yourself, yeah.
Okay, so one sentence, how do you see yourself?
Think again.
Come on.
How I see myself as Guan Yu, as me, as someone unique, someone that is not part of the Guai script or following somebody who has been Guai and in their footsteps, but being just me, being someone unique, being someone who can forge my own path.
Yeah, I think really it's about forging your own path. I mean, we will always be judged in certain ways.
Yeah.
But I think you happy can already. More importantly.
Yes, be happy. Be happy, guys.
Thank you. Like, share, and subscribe. We need the help. Thank you. We're gonna grow. We're gonna do things better. We're gonna have fun.
Yes.
All right. See you guys.
Spill more tea.
Bye.